What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 7 sleeper picks.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to give you some of my top DFS sleeper picks, super low priced and low ownership players that could crush value this week and give your lineup an advantage over the field. These are risky plays, meant for large tournaments only. Don't go all in on any of these guys. They are high risk, high reward picks. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 7. Let's take a look at the quarterback position. So at the quarterback position, my sleeper pick is Marcus Mariota from the Atlanta Falcons, playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. And although they've been pretty good versus opposing quarterbacks, Marcus Mariota has averaged 17 fantasy points per game on the season. And I like this pick because he's getting an average of 7.2 rush attempts per game. Only going to be about 3% owned, projected at 16 fantasy points here in Week 7. He's only $5,500 DraftKings salary, $1,600 more on FanDuel. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 47 points scored in this game, with the Falcons trailing by 6.5. So Marcus Mariota has scored 24, 18, and 5 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He got 6, 7, and 5 rush attempts in those games. And I like this pick because Vegas thinks that the Falcons are going to be behind in this game. So Marcus Mariota could get some extra pass attempts in this one. He's got that rushing upside. So I like Marcus Mariota here versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the other sleeper pick that I like at the quarterback position is Jimmy Garoppolo from the San Francisco 49ers, playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the second to worst defense overall. They give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's averaged 15.6 fantasy points per game on the season. He's getting an average of 2 rush attempts per game. Only going to be about 4% owned. Now, I have Jimmy Garoppolo projected at 21 fantasy points here in Week 7. He's only $5,500 DraftKings salary, $1,700 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 49 points scored in this game, with the 49ers trailing by 1.5. So Jimmy Garoppolo has scored 19, 18, and 14 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He got 3, 1, and 1 rush attempts in those games. So I like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game, a close, competitive game. It's a fantastic matchup. I think this is going to be a shootout between Jimmy Garoppolo and Patrick Mahomes. Oh, and by the way, Patrick Mahomes, he's only going to be about 3% owned. So he's another sleeper pick in ownership only. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, not a sleeper pick by most people's standards, but he is only going to be about 3% owned. So I like some Patrick Mahomes at low ownership. But for super low salary with a fantastic matchup in a high-scoring game, a guy that just got Christian McCaffrey added to his arsenal. So I like Jimmy Garoppolo here versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy?
And we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video.
So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. So my sleeper pick at the running back position. Now, I don't think this guy is on anyone's radar, but I like Latavius Murray from the Denver Broncos playing the New York Jets, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing running backs. Latavius Murray has averaged 10.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 13 rush attempts per game, 1 pass target per game. So ownership going to be under 1% here. Super low ownership. Now, Latavius Murray, the reason I like this pick is because Melvin Gordon was benched in favor of Latavius Murray last week. Now here in week 7, Russell Wilson is out. So I think that the Denver Broncos are going to lean on this running game. So if they're not going to run the ball with Melvin Gordon, expect Latavius Murray to get a lot of carries in this one. It's a decent matchup. Now, Vegas only thinks there's going to be 37 points scored in this game, with the Broncos trailing by 1.5. So it's a low-scoring game, but it should be a close, competitive game. And Latavius Murray scored 7 and 14 fantasy points in his last 2 games, off of 15 and 11 rush attempts, on top of 1 and 1 pass target. So I like Latavius Murray as a deep sleeper pick here versus the New York Jets. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So my sleeper pick at the wide receiver position, this is 2 players, both on the same team. It's a 50-50 ball here. I would pick one of these guys. So I like Alec Pierce from the Indianapolis Colts playing the Tennessee Titans, who have the 3rd worst defense overall. They give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Alec Pierce averaging 10.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.8 pass targets per game. Only going to be about 4% owned. He's projected at 11 fantasy points here in week 7. He's 4,600 DraftKings salary, 1,500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 41.5 points scored in this game, with the Colts trailing by 2.5. Now, Alec Pierce has scored 14, 16, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games, off of 7, 9, and 6 pass targets. So that's some pretty decent volume in a fantastic matchup. So I like Alec Pierce here versus the Tennessee Titans. Now, if you don't go with Alec Pierce, the wide receiver 1 from the same team that's even lower salary and lower ownership is Paris Campbell. And we know the Tennessee Titans have the worst defense versus opposing wide receivers. So Paris Campbell, now he was only averaging 6.8 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.3 pass targets per game. Only going to be about 2% owned, but he is projected at 10 fantasy points here in week 7. Only 3,900 DraftKings salary, 1,500 more on FanDuel. And I like this pick because Paris Campbell scored 19 fantasy points off of 11 pass targets last game. So salary super low. It's a fantastic matchup. Low ownership, coming off of a big game. And he's getting a handful of targets each game. But if he can get anywhere close to that 11 targets that he put in last game, he should be a pretty good sleeper pick here. High risk, high reward. But I like Paris Campbell here versus the Tennessee Titans. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the tight end position, my sleeper pick is David Njoku from the Cleveland Browns playing the Baltimore Ravens. David Njoku has averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.8 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 88% of the snaps, only going to be about 4% owned, projected at 10.6 fantasy points here in week 7. He's $4,200 DraftKings salary, $1,500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 45.5 points scored in this game, with the Browns trailing by 6.5. So David Njoku has scored 9, 15, and 11 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 6, 6, and 7 pass targets. So that's consistent pass targets with consistent production. Now he's got a pretty good matchup in what could be a fantastic game script. So I like David Njoku here versus the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, the other sleeper pick that I like at the tight end position, if you want to save a ton of salary here, take a look at Noah Fant from the Seattle Seahawks playing the LA Chargers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing tight ends. Noah Fant has averaged 6.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.8 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 5% owned, projected at 7.2 fantasy points here in week 7. He's $3,100 DraftKings salary, $1,900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 50.5 points scored in this game, with the Seahawks trailing by 5. So I like that this is going to be a high-scoring game. I like that the Seahawks are likely going to be behind in this game. Should be some extra pass attempts for Noah Fant, who scored 11, 8, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 7, 5, and 1 pass target. So I like that he got 7 pass targets last game. Lot to like here, and he's super low salary on DraftKings, only $3,100. So I like Noah Fant here versus the LA Chargers.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.